Howdy, folks. Happy Tuesday. Not a lot of news today, right?
No, nothing going on.
Nothing going on. We'll talk about that little bit of news coming out of Toronto in a second. But we're here.
Nothing going on. I'm slow on the draw. Sorry.
All right. Okay.
So,
but okay, you have a pre-show stuff. So
I do. So I was out doing errands, and I went to Walgreens picking up something, and the woman looks at me and she goes, "Are you a senior citizen?" And I said, "No." And she goes, okay. And then she goes, "Are you over 50 years old?" 50 or older. And I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Then you're a senior citizen. Here's your senior citizen day discount. It's senior citizen day." And I got 20% discount. So I reluctantly took it.
Russ, you take it and you run.
I know. But it was just an odd line of questioning because it's a weird icebreaker if you think about it.
You think that's bad? I go to a Rite Aid pharmacy a few days ago, and I'm somebody who needs a Prilosec, an antacid, but I don't take it every day. I take it once every 3 days, and I'm good.
Yeah.
They have a store coupon, and I was given a coupon from the newspaper. So, but it's one of these deals where you can use one or you can use the other.
Right.
I go in with both, and I get some 18-year-old kid who doesn't know any better. I got both. So, gee, I saved $5 instead of $3. So,
and you got fired. Good job, Mike.
Take it where you can get it. All right.
So little things in life.
Exactly. One quick thing, just quick. I know we talk food, we talk pizza all the time. McDonald's is running a special now where they're putting bacon bits on fries and bacon on their Big Mac. Is this an abomination because you're messing with something that's traditional in terms of what they usually put on it for years and years? Now all of a sudden you're slapping a couple slices of bacon on it.
I'm okay with it. If you want it on fries, that's fine. They shouldn't put it on the Big Mac because you're right. The Big Mac is the Big Mac. The Big Mac shouldn't get messed with. That's their feature hamburger. It always has been. It always will be. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't know about that.
Okay. Hello, Hockey World. Today is Tuesday, February 5th, 2019.
I'm Peter Tessier, back in the polar vortex.
I'm Russ Cohen. Sunny, 60 degrees. It's beautiful, man.
God.
You're getting our weather from yesterday, and I'm Michael Lagello, and this is the Hockey Buzzcast here on HockeyBuzz.com, where we had feet and feet of snow 3 days ago, and now it's waterlogged lawn in Western New York. Okay, let's start with the big news. Now, there were some signals over the last few days that it was getting close between Auston Matthews and the Maple Leafs, but you got the little bit of a hint yesterday in between periods when Bob McKenzie on TSN said he wouldn't be surprised if it's tomorrow. And when Bob McKenzie says that, you pretty much know that he's been told it's going to be tomorrow. And the announcement came about a little under 2 hours ago. Matthews signs a 5-year deal at $11.634 million AAV, the highest money ever for which I guess would be considered a bridge deal or an extended bridge deal. It's buying under.
Is this more money than the Jeff Finger contract? Are we sure?
Yes, it is more money than Jeff Finger. And that was $3.5 million times 4 years, to my memory.
Just way too much.
Which for a guy who played half a season with Colorado, and he sucked. Okay, but Matthews, now again, this is not unprecedented. A player signing a shorter term deal out of entry level. We've talked about the Stamkos, Tavares, Doughty, Kane, Taves. They all did 5-year deals out of there. But the difference is, and this is what I want to get your feedback on, both of you guys, is the big money coming out of entry level on a non-8-year deal. McDavid got 12.5. Eichel got 10. Matthews gets 11.6. on a 5-year deal, which for him, it's good because then he negotiates a new deal at 26. For the Leafs, it's good in the sense that apparently the 8-year ask was over $13 million. For Russ, for you first, what do you think of this deal?
What I think is it's a great deal for the Leafs. I think with that kind of money up front, Auston Matthews could buy the Arizona Coyotes. I'm not sure if that's what he's looking to do, but maybe that's what he's looking to do. He could certainly be a partner. What's interesting to me is that now we know pretty much what Mitch Marner is going to make. You know, be like 10 or a little more than 10. He's not going to make that number. So that sort of set the Marner bar there. So that did that. It also, with young players now, they're all seeing this, and they're all going to want their money sooner. And that's the only negative side of the Leafs doing this is that, now again, not everybody's Auston Matthews, so not everybody's worth that money that soon. And certainly, you know, Line A is another guy that we've talked about that maybe got it a bit too soon. But again, I think teams are okay with it simply because they don't want these guys to like die in these deals and become useless. And certainly Line A will never do that. And Matthews will never do that. So I think it was good. I think Dubas did the right thing here. I think, you know, Matthews will become captain over the summer. I think they'll make that announcement. It'll just be one of the, I think it's just me.
Yeah, no, I think that's the case.
And yeah, I mean, this is a case where doing this is good. The front loading part though will be a question from the league for the next CBA probably, because the Leafs are really exposing the front loading part more than anybody on their big deals. Yeah. And so that's something where they may want to take a look at that. Probably we'll talk about it. But other than that, yeah.
They're taking advantage of it right now because it's not illegal under the current CBA. Now, Peter, 90% of this, over 90% of this contract is signing bonus. I think in the last 2 or 3 years of the deal, the base salary is $700,000, and the rest of it is signing bonus. You had something that you mentioned.
Yeah, I mentioned on Twitter and in our text chat. And at first blush, I haven't gone and looked at this, but if it's paid out on July 1st, the interesting thing is that the salary, the playing salary is pretty nominal, but the bonus as a lump sum might be taxed a little differently because of tax bands as you earn more. So it might be more favorable to have one lump sum in one calendar year for taxation purposes. And I'm saying this, I haven't checked. I haven't gone and looked it up. I'm not going to look up the Ontario tax code. And then you have international tax treaties for players and how that works too. It gets really complicated. But based on how Canadian tax law works, it might be a little more effective from a tax management point to have that $15 million in a lump sum in one calendar year rather than taking a $9 million salary over 2 years in the calendar year of how it works with the season. There may be some benefits to that. I'm not sure.
I think you're right, because in the Tavares contract, it was $15.25 million in signing bonus for last year on July 1, almost $15 million in signing bonus on year 2. That'll be on July 1 of 2019, which is a calendar year. So maybe there's a threshold that, you know, at a certain point, it's not, you know, like up to say $5 million or I'm not a tax lawyer, but a certain amount where it's taxable. And then afterward, it's not taxable. And that's the benefit. So I know that between signing bonus and salary, Matthews is at around, I think it's close to 16 million on the first 2 years.
Just under, I think, or just over.
So, okay, from your unique perspective, because I know that in Toronto, there were some people who were saying they're a little miffed that, you know, before the year that they could have gotten Matthews signed for 8 years at around 12 something. And because of his big start and his, you know, hot start, that the money escalated. I'm not really concerned about it in the sense that, you know, again, after 5 years, he's 26 years old. They're gonna spend the money. Look, it's not like they're paupers.
There's no coincidence here. The Matthews deal and Matthews deal runs out 1 year before Tavares's does.
Right.
right? This is all. And so when you see what Marner comes in, all how the staggers and works and stuff will be very interesting.
And Peter, there's one other thing. I brought this up before this negotiation happened, and that was I had said to Mike, I'm pretty sure Auston Matthews is going to want to be the highest paid player in the league.
Right.
And now he will be the highest paid player. And Mike goes, I don't know if he's interested in that. But I don't know Auston Matthews well, but I just had a feeling that his camp, Pat Brisson, would want to do that.
Well, not Pat Brisson. Remember?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Who's his agent?
It's the Aura Group.
The Aura Group.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Judd Moldaver.
That sort of makes sense. And I can see it. And part of that, I think what's interesting about that too is he's also in the center of the hockey universe. That's going to cost, you think it does you some favors, but it also costs you a little bit more too. Like, I think there's some factor, if he was sitting in, if this was Nashville, I don't think he'd be taken as much, to tell you the honest truth.
Well,
because you now have to deal with this in Toronto, and that has a lot of consequences too. And you're going to be paid for that.
Yeah.
Now the interesting thing, and we have to extrapolate from this because it's Toronto based, but it's going to go out to some other situations, and we'll talk about those too. The next in the line of succession here is Mitch Marner, and his agent Darren Ferris let the Leafs know even as early as December that they really didn't want to negotiate until the end of the season. Now, I think that was under the assumption that Matthews' deal was not going to get done until the end of the season too. And now that they have gotten it done, there is some speculation that they may approach Marner and his agent about starting negotiations. Now, the thing is, and I talked about this on Twitter, Marner is a winger. There is a different pay scale when it comes to centers and when it comes to wingers. And he's one of the best wingers. There's no doubt. He's a very creative player. He could score 90 to 95 points this year. He scored over 60 points his first 2 years. He's having a great year this year. But the position that he plays does factor into this. And, there's some speculation that they may want to stagger the years. And as you said, Peter, Tavares has got 6 more years after this year. Matthews has 5. They're not going to go 4 on Marner because that would walk him right to UFA. They may want to go 7, but it's going to cost more.
It's going to cost more.
Yeah. Now, Russ, the thing is, and I use the comparative of Kucherov, and Kucherov is he's a more dominant player and more of a goal scorer than Marner is.
Yeah.
And you have to factor in also that he's taking 9.5 in Tampa, where he gets more of that because of Florida State tax. But so his amounts anywhere else probably would have been over 10. His percentage of cap
could have been up to 11, I think.
It could have been up to 11. That's true. His percentage of cap, I think it was around 11.9, 12% on a $79 million cap. I tweeted this a little while ago. Yeah. If you compute that out to what the cap might be, which is anywhere from $83 to $85 million next year, you're talking about 9.9 or 10.16 million AAV for Marner on and it could be on a 5-year deal, could be on a 6-year deal. You don't know. But
that's going to be like 10.25, and I think they're going to go for more years. I think they're going to go for a 7-year deal.
Right.
And I'll tell you why. Right. I think they're going to bank against the fact that, he's a smaller guy, and let's get the security here. And who knows if Tavares and Matthews will even be here after their deals, and I can be the man. I just have a feeling that behind the scenes, that will be the discussion.
Yes.
You know what's interesting too? And I'm just going to play devil's advocate, tinfoil toque. The fact that the bulk of Matthews' money, I think it's $32 million, is in the first 2 years of the 58.
Right.
This is a bit of a hedge against risk, says the guy in the insurance background, right?
Yeah.
It's a hedge against risk, because if this doesn't work out, and something that's been going on with Matthews reappears,
You mean
Kyle Dubas won't have to shoulder it for too long.
You mean his injury prone nature?
Yes, his shoulder.
Yes.
Or shoulders, right?
Yes.
Right. So 5 years is a nicer hedge against the possibility, and he's definitely being paid, if you want to look at it this way, in that mode, to say, if something goes wrong, you're going to get a lot of money.
Yeah. And
you're getting it fast. But it also gives the Leafs some protection long term, because this isn't Horton. This isn't Clarkson. This isn't deals that you're not trading this no matter what happens. Right? Like, and God forbid, and I think he's going to be fine. I think you don't go into this knowing, but there is that risk with his shoulder.
But you're right. You're right.
Right? And it's an interesting way of how it fits together, and it gives them 5 years.
Yeah,
if 5 years good, and he's not and he plays through this, and he's getting a 70 to 75 games a year, maybe more, he's going to hit the mother load coming out of this.
You have to prepare for every eventuality.
Yeah, you have to prepare for every event, and it costs you to prepare.
Right. Renaud Lavoie just tweeted out that there is a no move clause on this deal, which is not surprising. Yeah. So now, okay, so we're going to see where it goes with Marner. The interesting question, and it was funny because Mackenzie yesterday on TSN on the broadcast was sort of projecting, what the Leafs, what they would have to do in terms of moving money around for next year. Because if you sign Marner for $10 million and you have Matthews at 11.5, and he speculated about Janssen and Kapanen being in the twos on either a bridge deal or in arbitration. There was no room for Jake Gardiner. So that would mean you'd have to trade money out to sign Gardiner to a team friendly deal, which I don't think is going to happen. Yeah. His speculation was that they would move out a guy like Connor Brown, because Connor Brown is a fourth liner being paid $2 million. The problem is that with what he was saying, the Leafs are right up against it. They're like at $82 million on an $83 million cap, he was projecting an $85 million cap. And that's why I'm saying it makes no sense to move Connor Brown, because all you're saving is $1 million by replacing him with an entry-level guy. The saving is to move Nylander. And I still believe
it is. I mean, honestly, if I were the GM, I'd wait a year on Marner too. Like, why do you have to do it this year? You don't have
to. He's up. He's up.
Yeah, he's up.
No, but you could give him, look, he's not up. He's still under team control.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, you're saying you're going to sign him to a bridge?
I'll give him a 3-year bridge deal, and let's talk about it when some of these other contracts drop off.
I mean, that's what Kucherov did, but right. I mean, I think if you're going 3-year bridge, you're probably going to December again. It's probably going to be a holdout situation. Now, I hope that the Nylander situation was it looks like it was a cautionary tale to Matthews. Matthews wanted to get it done. He didn't want to have that whole thing. With Marner, I mean, it's principle now. You've given Matthews the 5 years. You've given him 11 something. Where are my toys to play?
Well, here's the thing, right? So this is my point. And you talk to Marner and you say, look, you're obviously a very important player to us, but if we go give you this money, we can't keep a guy like Muzzin or somebody else extended past his contract. Right. And then we're going to have all this offensive firepower, and we're still going to be lacking on defense. Now, that's still going to happen.
Now, let's take it off the Leaf page and go to a team like Winnipeg who has similar problems and how this affects the Jets. Because I already, last week we were hearing when a lot of people were talking about Line A and his struggles, about the fact that it wasn't going to be an 8-year deal, that it was similar to Matthews, it was going to be a 5-year deal, and what the cost would be. I mean, Peter, I think Cheveldayoff's challenges are bigger than Dubas, because he's got so many guys that he has to sort of corral.
Well, let's go through. You had Marner and Matthews and Nylander, because he just dealt with Nylander too. So there's two out of the big three. Right. He's now got to deal with Gardner,
Kapanen, Janssen,
Kapanen,
and Marner still.
and Marner. So Marner, so two of the big three. So Marner, Kapanen, and Gardner.
Janssen.
There's choices. There's something you have to deal with.
Yeah, Gardner and Hainsey on defense.
Yeah, well, Hainsey's nothing. If Kyle Dubas cannot find a replacement for Hainsey, then he shouldn't be GMing.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's simple as that.
Right.
No, that's
okay.
true.
And Kyle Dubas will find an adequate replacement for Ron Hainsey. I have no question.
You call Sergei Gonchar, he'd probably still take the job.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Zubov would come out,
Yeah.
So Kevin Cheveldayoff has Laine and Connor. He's got Trouba, and he's got Myers.
Yeah.
Here's where when I saw the deal, I said, I think this looks like good news for the Jets. I'm not sure how good, but I think it's good news.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The question becomes, how much do you value elite shooting talent in light of all other talent? Auston Matthews is a dynamically well-rounded, skilled player.
Right.
He gets his goals.
And so is Tavares.
And so is Tavares. He gets his goals in different ways. He gets his points in different ways. He gets his team points in different ways.
Right.
Patrick Laine gets his points and gets his team's points by doing one thing, and that's putting the puck past goaltenders.
Right.
How much is that worth? Because that the people who do it at his rate and his level are such a rarity versus the value of what an Auston Matthews is. That's where the valuation is going to come in. I have a feeling that Patrick Laine, I don't believe he will sniff eight digits on his contract. And I mean sniff, like I mean maybe within $500,000 of it. I don't think it'll get that high.
No, I agree.
I don't think it's much higher than what Blake Wheeler is going to make, because I don't think Laine has shown anyone that there's more to his game on a consistent level that's going to show up other than get him the puck so he can do something that few can do, which is rifle a puck really hard. That's a ton of value, but he hasn't done anything else consistently in his 2.5 seasons so far that says we're waiting for this side of his game to develop. Because we don't right now, the question is we don't know if it's there or not. Right. We know he can shoot. We know he can see the net. We know he's got this incredible skill.
They could stall him with the puck. They could.
Right. So I don't know if it goes that high. Kyle Connor is a different question.
Yeah.
Kyle Connor might make more simply because he can shoot, but he's starting to show some other aspects to his game, Russ, that someone like yourself used to see when he was in the USHL, right? And he was doing these things, and he said it's going to take time for Connor.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Michigan,
yeah. Wasn't he in the USHL?
He was. In college, he did that too.
Right. And we're going to wait for him to get a little bigger, a little stronger, figure some things out. We're starting to see that. But again, he's a winger. But if he pots another 10 or 12 goals this season, 2 30-goal seasons before age 22, he's going to be expensive. He's going to be up around Nylander range. Probably, he might even be more.
No, I don't think he'll be more, but I think he'll be just under.
So like 6 million, 6.25.
6.8.
6.25. No, I think 6.25.
Well, Ehlers is making 6. Scheifele's making 6.25. Wheeler just got 8.
Is now lagging, making 6. So that's
let me.
The question, Mike, the difference for those two players than Matthews and Marner is Connor and Laine have been dependent on others. Marner is not dependent on anyone.
No, he's the guy who sets up. He's the guy who
sets up. He can carry a team. He drives play. And Matthews is the same. He drives play.
Right.
Connor's starting to. Laine is not even close yet.
Well, the question I have about this field of RFAs, I mean, and maybe I'm going to operating under the wrong assumption here, but Tampa Bay is like witchcraft when it comes to contracts, and they have that advantage of the state tax. So, everybody says, oh my God, Braden Point's going to bankrupt them. No, I think what's going to happen is what we've talked about for a year. They're going to trade off Tyler Johnson, open up $5 million of cap space, and pay Point less than Stamkos, maybe 7 or 7.5, something like that, which is a real 7 or 7.5 because he gets most of it, and and everything fits nicely. Where I'm going to be curious, I don't know whether any of these guys, based on what happened with Matthews, is going to get 8 years. Do you think that Thomas Dundon in Carolina is going to want to sign Sebastian Aho for 8 years and pay him $9 million a year? No.
He won't give him that offer.
We've got to Dundon's got to get over the $6 million hurdle in his mind before he gets anywhere. I want to go
back to the Jets for one thing. I don't want to switch to Carolina yet. For the Jets, I was just looking at it, and I definitely would try in every way I could to keep Trouba and lose Myers, because in the end, Trouba is more valuable.
Yeah, I agree. But it's just a matter of whether Trouba is going to decide, I want to play here.
Right.
Or, there's
more minutes. He's more valuable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the important thing, though, because if you operate under that assumption without knowing whether Trouba wants to stay, then a year from now you could be without both of them. If you say, okay, we're gonna go to arbitration with Trouba, we're gonna get he'll pay him $6.5 million for a year. He's a UFA after the 2019-20 season,
right?
And you've let Myers go under the assumption that you can get Trouba signed, and then if Trouba says I don't want to sign here, then you're screwed because you lose both of them.
Yeah.
But you have to find out what your landscape is this summer, and if you know that Trouba wants to leave, then maybe you sign Myers, and you probably can get Myers on a reasonable contract, and then you trade Trouba or you keep him as an own rental and then let him go after next year.
Yeah.
Now
it'll be one or the other for sure.
Yeah. Now the other team that's in a difficult scenario is Colorado because Mikko Rantanen's having such a great year. He's in a position where he can make $3 to $3.5 million more than Nathan MacKinnon does because of the way the landscape changed. McKinnon's making a little over $6 on a 6-year deal, and Rantanen, based on what Marner's going to get and based on what other wingers are going to get, he could get 9.5. I mean,
McKinnon's not going to care because he'll make it on the back end anyhow. That's why he did 6 in the first place.
Yeah,
putting up big numbers, and he will get a big contract.
You know what's insane to think about though? Nathan MacKinnon just turned 23 last fall. He seems like he's been around here longer than my aunt's Christmas
Right,
cake.
and that's what I'm saying. So when he's 26, he's going to cash in again.
It's because he started at 18 years old, Peter. It's like you think Jeff Skinner is a Methuselah. You think he's ready for Social Security. He's 26 years old. He's been playing since his draft year, so that's why. So anyway, this is going to be fascinating. The Leafs are having a press conference at 4:00 up in Toronto. It couldn't have been a conference call because then I could have been on it, but it's going to be one of those ones in the locker room. So unfortunately, I won't be able to. Yeah, typical. Anyway. Some other news here, and we haven't mentioned his name recently, but we know that the LA Kings are selling.
Right.
And the name of Ilya Kovalchuk popped up. David Pagnotta, the fourth period, reported that Kovalchuk is willing to move and waive his no move clause for the right situation. The Kings would likely have to retain salary. He was at $625 times 3 years. This is year 1.
A couple weeks ago, I brought up Kovalchuk. If you
did.
You did. You've mentioned, actually, Russ, you mentioned him a few times.
Yeah.
And Pagnotta reports that there are teams that are interested. So, okay, for a team that is looking for a scoring winger, how little would Kovalchuk have to be paid for you to be interested and give up something in return?
He'd have to be no more than $2 million, or I'm not doing it.
Well, the lowest he can be is 3.125.
All right, if it's 3.125, I might do it. I'm not giving you a hell of a lot. I'm probably going to make it conditional too, because he could come in and destroy my power play.
Well, remember, this is a 35+ contract.
Yeah,
I know.
LA is going to have to hold on to a ton of it.
Yeah.
Well, 50% is the max.
They're going to have to keep 50 for sure. I can't imagine a team. Well, I shouldn't say that. Arizona could be willing to do it.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the one thing. You think that there are contracts that are immovable. Remember, if the cap goes up to 85,
then teams have to make the floor.
The cap floor goes up. So guys who have contracts that you think are ridiculous, they might be able to be moved. It's just these contracts that have 4 or 5 years left. That's where it's a problem.
Yeah. I know people are going to think, well, Lou's going to want Kovalchuk. You know what? I don't think Trotz will want Kovalchuk.
No, I don't. But you know what? I don't think Trotz wants that headache with what he's doing right now.
Right.
But if there's one guy who might be able to find a way to work Kovalchuk in, it might be Trotz. But he doesn't need that.
I don't
headache.
think he's not in that mindset. I could tell.
No, I agree.
Strangely, I think there are two Atlantic Division teams that make the most sense. One is Boston. They're looking for a left wing for Krejci. And apparently they were interested in Kovalchuk before when he came out of the KHL last year. And the other might be Montreal. It's the whole Alexei Kovalev thing. It's where they like that, that creative guy, the one who they always like that type of guy, and they do have the cap space. So if they could
look at this, I mean, remember I was saying the most I thought Kovalchuk could get would be 50 to 55 points. He's not even going to get that. It's disgusting. It really is.
Well,
yeah.
He's got 25 points. He's got 10 goals.
Yeah, it was a big risk.
This is Rob Blake grasping at straws.
Yeah, but you know what? Part of it,
and
I'll take Blake off the hook a little bit because a lot of this is on Kovalchuk. Because again, I know if you're a team willing to pay the money, players should always say, yes, I'll take that money. But when is the last time he has really delivered? That's my point.
2012 when the Devils went to the Cup final.
That's my point. What did he do after he knew he was getting that contract with LA to raise his game from what he did in the KHL? To me, it seems like nothing.
Well, it's a miscalculation on the part of the Kings because we said it in the summer when he signed. This was like a 1 or 2 year window with an aging Kings club to see if they could win one more Stanley Cup. And we knew from the very beginning of the season they were too slow, they were too old. And I think Kopitar is still a good player. I think Doughty's still one of the best defensemen in the league. But we talked about Quick and his injuries, Carter, Kovalchuk. They're going to try to tear down as much of that team as they possibly can, but it's impossible because they have so much long-term money locked up on like guys like Dion Phaneuf.
Can you imagine in 42 games, this guy has 8 power play points? Just think about that for a minute.
Yeah. Well, remember, I'm pretty sure that Willie Desjardins took him off the power play.
For a little while. But that's because he was destroying it.
Right. So, I think there are teams there that could – now, remember, he's 35, I think going on 36. And
going on 45.
And, if he goes to a Boston or goes to a Montreal, he's going to be secondary offense. So he's got to be making something that is consistent in terms of salary with secondary offense, and that is $3 million. If he's making anything more than that,
humorous, not for Boston fans, but for me and for other people, put him with David Krejci, see what happens.
Well, that's what they're looking for right now.
I know, but if you do that, there's potential for greatness or potential for disaster. There's no in between with that.
Matt Duchene made some interesting comments this morning talking about his contract negotiations. He says, I haven't even thought about the money part, to be honest with you. Obviously, that's the part of it, and I'm not going to, you're not going to be, I'm going to play for free. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm showing my hand too much right now. It's never been about that for me. Basically, he's saying he'd like to stay in Ottawa, but the salary means something, and the direction of the team means something. Or how far, if he
all players, that's true,
right? If he signs a 5, 6, 7 year deal in Ottawa, he wants to know that he's going to be playing, consequential, meaningful hockey at some point during those 5, 6, or 7 years. And right now, I think they can turn it around because they have a lot of good young talent, but it's going to be a long process. And we talked yesterday about how many guys the Senators are probably going to trade before the deadline. If I'm Duchene, I'm like, get me the hell out of this friggin' place.
Sports have changed. It's like the days of like Ernie Banks staying with the Cubs forever and never winning a World Series. Nobody wants to do that anymore. Not one player that I can think of that can become a free agent or get traded wants to do that. So they all do want to see what the direction of the team is. And unfortunately, they don't know what the direction of the team is because the budget changes all the time. Everything's askew. it is possible they lose everybody. That's the crazy part of all of this.
It is. And the next thing you know, they're just left sitting there with Bobby Ryan and whatever they can fill in,
whatever they get in those trades for those
trades,
guys.
and
And see that again is the cautionary tale. They signed Bobby Ryan to that long-term deal, and you never know what's going to happen with a guy. I mean, the guy was a great player in Anaheim. He gets traded to Ottawa. He signs the extension, and now he cannot stay healthy. Like making the joke, he's got to find like bulletproof gloves to keep from breaking his fingers or his hands because it happens every year. But he's making over $7 million. He has never scored over 23 goals in the life of that contract. And that if you sign Stone for 7 or 8 years, or you sign Duchesne for 7 or 8 years, that's all fine and good. But you have to do it for a purpose. You have to do it for the purpose of building a team that can win. And I don't know if the financial wherewithal is there for the Senators and their owner. But I don't know. I mean, if I'm them, I'm trading them all, and I'm getting as much as I can for all of them.
I mean, in the end, that might be what happens, and then you might just pay Ceci because everybody else is leaving. That's
right. But Ceci is 2 years away from being a UFA, so he's probably not going to. He's probably in a Trouba situation where this year, this offseason, he probably says if they don't trade him, okay, we'll go to arbitration. There's 1 year, and then we go one more year, and then I'm gone.
I mean, he might do that, and you know what? And that unfortunately, the chances are going up every day that either guy accepts the deal that they've been offered for all those 3 guys.
Now, Eck reported in his blog before the Matthews news that the Canadians, and this is funny because Mark Bergevin came out a month ago and said, "I'm not a buyer." Bull crap. You are a buyer. If you're in the playoffs, you're a buyer. You're 3 points out of second place in the Atlantic. What you're saying is, I don't have a lot of resources. I don't have a ton of prospects, so I don't want to give up those guys. But if I can get players and I have cap space, I'll give up. I'll take on a salary. He's a buyer, but he's a limited buyer. He's not going to give up Paling. He's not going to give up Juleson. He's not going to give up, their prospects. But he'll shop for somebody who helps him. And Eck was saying that they may have some interest in Carl Hagelin from the Kings. I can tell you that there were that Bergevin was in Toronto yesterday watching the Ducks Leafs, and I know that Silfverberg, if they don't get him on a contract, might be a rental. So that, I mean, Russ, I think Silfverberg would be an upgrade for them as a rental ad.
A slight upgrade. I'm not sure where he is anymore. I mean, I don't
know either.
I used to really like him, but he never was the fastest guy. But he showed a lot of skill and scoring ability and a little bit of moxie. But it's fading for me. And
the Ducks roster is a whole lot of ugly. Like if someone got injured in the next couple of weeks and you needed someone who could play some sheltered minutes, be used in certain situations, and wouldn't be too harming against yourself. Yeah, Silfverberg's a guy, but that Ducks roster, I mean, you just steer clear of it. There's too much liability with contracts on it for who people they might want to be trying to sell. It's just ugly. Run away.
I have to tell you, Peter, I watched that game last night. I felt sorry. I mean, okay, Randy Carlyle.
Oh no, is this going to be like a mop up thing for Randy Carlyle? Come on.
I mean, Randy Carlyle is this is his last year. I don't think.
I know. Can we get a crying towel for you?
Yeah, thank you. I don't think he's going to get fired. I think it'll be over with at the end of the season. But
you think he'll just walk away and it'll just fade to black?
I think this is the last year of his contract.
Will it say Finn at the end?
Okay. Shut up. Will you shut up, please, and let me make my point? No, I mean, I look at that team, and they're just an unmitigated disaster. And the thing is, it's like you've got Kessler. I think he's under contract for 3 more years. Corey Perry is a shadow of his former self. He doesn't look like he's got anything left. Getzlaf is too slow. I mean, even the guys like Adam Henrique, who they got from New Jersey, I mean, apparently he's not playing very well. The only thing I see on that team right now, other than Gibson, who got swamp last night is, their defense is still good. Fowler and Lindholm and Manson and Montour, but their forwards they're just too slow. I don't know how them and the Kings dig themselves out of this mess.
Yeah.
I mean,
what they need to hope for is they need to hope there's some amnesty in the next CBA. I mean, really, that's kind of it. Or
they hope that their big star players like Getzlaf and Perry are sick of playing out the string on a contract and just retire, so it wipes it off the books.
Yeah,
but you can't depend on that. It's like that's like praying, like Russ was saying that yesterday about Roberto Luongo. I mean, I'm sure the Florida Panthers want to put Roberto Luongo on LTIR to cleanse that salary, the cap hit off of their books.
I do want to address something too. Are
Sure.
we done with Carlisle yet? I didn't want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I don't want to ruin it for you. So there's something that I saw yesterday on Twitter, and now I'm seeing it in the chat room. Russ, do I think Carter Hart's going to win the Calder? He hasn't played enough games. I saw somebody in Philly write, and again, this guy's not a hardened Flyers writer, that I just watched Pettersson, and he doesn't really drive the play, and look what Carter Hart's doing for the Flyers. And it's like, do you understand this guy is more than a point a game as a rookie?
Yeah.
More than a point a game. He doesn't play for a great team. Neither, and I get that Carter Hart doesn't either, but neither does Pettersson. And he's got 23 goals and 23 assists. Come on, man.
And it's not even a contest. Look.
Not yet. Now, if he stayed on this pace for another 25 games, then we might be talking.
And I don't want to, I tweeted this out, but I don't want to say Philadelphia is on a PDO run, but they're on a PDO run. I mean, it's unsustainable. Now, I'm not saying Carter Hart's not going to sustain
40-something shots a game. That's true.
Yeah. I'm not going to say Carter Hart's not still going to be an excellent. That doesn't say he's not being a good goalie. He's not going to be a good goalie. But what's happening right now is an aberration.
Yeah.
They'll come down to earth. And, and that's fine. Look, if you're a Philly fan, the best thing you can do is love what you're seeing.
Correct.
But don't let it cloud your judgment about what the team is, where its issues are, where its challenges are, where it needs to improve. Because the one thing you have done is potentially solved the biggest challenge you've had for years. But Peter, don't make it more than it is.
This one is clouding their judgment. Now, I heard this morning, they're only 5 points out of a wild card spot. Maybe they should be buyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that too.
You are friggin' clueless.
No, they won't be buyers.
Yeah, they won't be buyers. And I mean, does this prevent them from selling? No. Which they should do.
No, they won't. It won't prevent them from selling. If they happen to make the playoffs by some miracle, they stay on this run, and Columbus continues to tank it, and Carolina can't get goaltending, then they're still going to operate the same way I think they're going to operate and sell at the deadline what they need to sell, and whatever they replace it with, and whatever they bring up from Lehigh, that's what they're going to gun with. I think honestly that's what they're going to do. But right now, 5 points is 5 points. They haven't gone on a losing streak yet either. So, again, we'll wait and see when the win streak runs out, when the losing streak runs out. Like Carter Hart could set a rookie record on Thursday if he beats the Kings, which, again, it's the Kings. It's possible with 8 straight wins. Like, that will be a rookie record. And that's great. Mm-hmm. But, again, the opposite bad flip side is we could look at some other great rookies of the past that looked like they were going to be great. And this is why Peter is saying just chill, because we know what his abilities are. It's obvious. We all knew this 3-4 years ago. We knew who he was. He was winning goalie of the year. None of this is a shock. Right. The idea is what Peter's saying as far as being sustainable. It's not a great track record for sustainability to have a goalie facing like 40 shots a game and 18 shots a period.
Right, and this is not a commentary on Carter Hart because
it has nothing to do with him.
That Russ said. I think he's going to be a great goaltender, but I'm waiting for a bubble burst. I'm waiting for a 7-goal game because I don't think Philadelphia's defense is capable. And the thing is, you cannot rest your laurels on a 20-year-old goaltender standing on his head game after game after game, and they're going to continue to play him game after game because they're on a winning streak. So
Drew's asking me, does this help Gordon keep his job? I don't know if it helps him keep his job there, but it could get him a job somewhere else.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
There's going to be a situation now where he'll get interviewed by the Flyers. I think the corporate hierarchy is going to look for a bigger name. If they land a bigger name, then unfortunately I think Gordon's going to lose out. If they don't, then I do think he has a chance, because I do think he knows a lot of these players and he's done a nice job. But we also have to look at the Craig Berube effect. Mm-hmm. He also was a guy that was in the organization, who came in, who did something for a short time, and then when he was the guy, couldn't do it the next year, starting flat-footed. So that's the hard part of this, and that's why they probably will interview a lot of – you're going to probably hear like 8 to 10 names, right, just because they're going to want to do their due diligence and look at everybody and wait on Quenneville. It'll be – maybe by the time they're waiting on Quenneville, Bryce Harper will sign somewhere, so Phillies fans can finally get off that. But anyhow, maybe.
Mentioning Quenneville, and, we were talking about Florida yesterday, and I think we all – think that Bob Boughner, if they continue to be wallowing near the bottom of the league, that Boughner's last year is this year. I mean, I know that Russ, you've been talking about Boughner and not him being part of the problem.
He's underperforming with that team there,
right? I mean, with them possibly bringing in Panarin and Bobrovsky, do you think that might be a landing spot for Joel Quenneville? I mean, I know Talon didn't hire him. I think Bowman did, but in Chicago, but it would make a little bit of sense of Quenneville going to Florida, because I think if they're gonna infuse a goaltender and a top player like that to go along with Barkov and Ekblad, I think you need a veteran coach to sort of straighten that team out, and he would make a lot of sense in Florida. But
I'd like to know right now, like, what's the current excuse for the Panthers? It can't be Luongo getting hurt, because he already did that, and then he's been back for a while now, and they're still losing. So, like, what is the current excuse? Because every time I said, I don't think Bugner's doing a good job, there was always something else. So I'm wondering, I'm just asking, like, what is it now?
I don't know. I mean, right, they just seem to be a lost team, and they got Trocheck back, but I mean, it's just not. Nothing has come together with that team. And
think about this: 156 goals for. That team should have about close to 200 goals for.
Yeah. Another thing that Eck reported was on Colton Parayko. He said that the Blues are making him available, that the Oilers are highly interested, and that makes a bit of sense since Hitchcock was in St. Louis when Parayko came up. I said to this point, the Oilers version of All In and the Blues version is very different. That said, it sounds like the Oilers may be upping the ante. The thing is, I look at the Oilers, and if you mark, obviously, McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins as untouchables, and then you say Darnell Nurse and maybe Clefbaum, who the hell are you trading for Parayko? Who the hell?
I'll trade. This is who I'm asking for if I'm St. Louis. I will take Jesse Puljujarvi and Kaylor Yamamoto. Thank you. I'll take them.
And that goes.
It's just that they can't afford to do that,
right? And that goes against Bob Nicholson saying we're not going to trade our young prospects for a quick. And it's not a quick fix because Parayko's under contract for, I think.
All right, let's go with again the first rule of GMing. What is the first rule of GMing?
The first rule of GMing
is a statement that you're going to have to contradict later.
Right, you're a born liar, and you can basically twist.
When you're not kissing babies, you're stealing their lollipops.
Stealing life from Hunt for Red October. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for picking that up, Mike.
Yes, I know.
No, but I mean, it's one of those things. Look, GMs, they always say one thing, and a lot of times it will turn into something else, and that's because things change. And I think things have changed in Edmonton now to the point where I'm feeling the whiff of desperation. I felt it when they lost to the Flyers. I felt it in the Hitchcock press conference. I was really looking at that team. I felt it when even McDavid couldn't be happy that he had like his third consecutive 30-goal season. He can't be happy because they only got 1 point and they should have had 2. Like, this is where everybody is at right now. There's not a lot of joy in Mudville there.
Yeah. We're going to take 2 or 3 questions in the chat and then end the show right at 4:00. Just have to say, the euphoria. I mean, it's funny. The euphoria about Jake Muzzin in Toronto was sort of funny yesterday. He gets a goal and 2 assists, and basically, like, everybody's in love with Jake
Best
Muzzin.
trade they've ever made. Yeah.
Right, and don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of the deal. I thought it was a good deal. I thought they paid a little bit of a high price, but to get a top 4 defenseman, it was going to cost. Everybody realizes that. But Muzzin is not like an offensive dynamo, and he had a goal and 2 assists. But the thing that really stuck out to me is he walloped Corey Perry along near the boards.
That makes him a hero across the league.
Right, exactly. He drew standing ovations for that hit and the hit he laid out on Jake Gensel on Saturday. And honestly, this is a sad commentary. I think those were the first 2 hits that the Leafs threw all year. They're not a hit.
That, but that's not true.
I know, but I'm saying hits of impact.
Yeah.
I don't remember a hit of impact on that team. Last year,
Muzzin doesn't have to be an all-star. You know what he needs to be? He needs to be basically almost unnoticeable, and it's a success.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
That he just needs.
He always gets some points. People.
Yeah. No, and that's great. He gets some points, chip in here and there. And next thing you know, wow, Jake Muzzin did all this, and wow, we have Jake Muzzin, and you're sort of like, that's the best outcome.
Yeah. All right. So here's some questions. First one.
2 questions.
No, we're gonna go 3 because this one's a Leaf question, so it doesn't count. Would Trevor Van Riemsdyk be a good pickup for the Leafs?
This was asked last week. No.
I know. Is it an upgrade? I don't think so. I think he would get the Frankie Corrado treatment. All right. Let's see. Not everybody may have heard that last week, Mike, so I wanted to say it for a second.
Okay, so for everybody who didn't hear it last week, no.
Let's see. Russ, when Ashton Reese is healthy, is Bluger, McCann, Ashton Reese, who the Pen should go with on their 4th line? Actually, that would be good. I thought Ashton Reese was looking good this year, and I'd seen him practice a bunch of days when I was at the USHL Kickoff Classic, and I think he's improved this year. If he could stay healthy, I'd be okay with that line because you know what? That's a 4th line that could score a few points, and Bluger can play greasy, and McCann's got a good shot, and Ashton Reese is no wallflower. I think that's good. I don't know if Rutherford will look at it as good, but you know what? With the youth infusing in around the league, it's not a bad move for Pittsburgh to kind of have young legs in there. So I think
no, not at all.
All right, last question. Oh no, it's a Leafs question. I got to find a better one. Hold on.
Jesus.
All right, BK wants to know. Here's a fun question: which 2 centers would a team prefer? Matthews Tavares at 22.6, McDavid Draisaitl at 21, or Crosby Malkin at 18, like at current age? I mean, it's C. It's C every day, all day, every day. It's not even close.
Which group has 3 Stanley Cups?
Yeah.
And even though they're over 30 years old, they're still in their prime and still amongst the top 5 centers in the league. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Is it McDonald's, Burger King, or Hardee's? Now, the interesting thing about this is
Hardee's. Oh,
that's why fruit. Well, if I'm going to make this fair, Hardee's is basically the McDavid Draisaitl money, what they're producing, even though they're producing points. But I don't think Hardee's has a burger equivalent of Connor McDavid. I'll say that.
No.
But here's the interesting thing, though.
Wendy's has the Baconator.
Yeah.
I didn't bring in Wendy's because of the whole, I don't know. Mike Ritter thing. I don't know. He was involved with them, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But here's an interesting thing, though. In the last few years, Burger King's fries are actually better than McDonald's fries now.
I can't remember the last time I ate at Burger King.
I've had them. I have them every once in a while, and I've had them Burger King like a few weeks ago, and McDonald's before that, and the Burger Kings were better.
McDonald's used to be the best fries going away.
Like bar none.
Bar none, they used to be the best going away. Now I think
not counting Nathan's, by the way. Nathan's kills everybody. They're just not everywhere.
Now they're terrible, and I actually think Wendy's are pretty good fries because
they're not
bigger. They're bigger, yeah. But Yeah, I don't
if you actually think about it, Burger Kings are probably the best of those three that you just mentioned.
Oh, good. But their hamburgers are terrible.
Yeah, I don't eat hamburgers anymore. So
I know. All right. Good show, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll let you know what time. For Peter Tessier, for Russ Cohen, I'm Michael Lagello. Thank you for watching. And remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey.